What's up, everybody? Bembecito here. We're coming to you today in the special time. You guys know what's happening right now, so I don't have to talk about it. But uh, it's a special time, and we're home. We're home because we have to be home, so everything can be a little bit better, and hopefully get better, and all this can resolve. Uh, But anyhow, I'm coming to you guys with a different topic today. Everybody mostly knows I make videos on Haitian Dominican Voodoo 21 divisions. Um, that's my main focus when I make these videos. But today we're gonna change the topic a little bit, and we're gonna go into Afro Cuban Orisha, which the people popular popularly known as Santeria, or some people now call it Lukumi. Um, but the real name of it, or the name that was used for a while now, for a long time, since you know maybe the colonial days or something, is Regla de Ocha, which means the rule of Ocha in Cuba, mainly in Havana and Matanzas, which are the two main cities where this tradition, people call it a religion, tradition, way of life, whatever you want to call it. Uh, but in Cuba, people call it a religion. Um, this is where these two cities, Havana and Matanzas, in Cuba, is where these settlements of this tradition uh, basically settled. Why am I touching on this subject? Basically, because I've seen a lot of people asking questions, mainly in social media, and for a while now, people have been telling me to talk a little bit on Santeria. I am a Santero. As many people know, everybody that knows me knows that I have a Watalat done, uh, going on 19 years now, and I'm very active in the Afro Cuban Orisha community here in the United States, and anywhere they call me. I'm a musician in the tradition. Uh, apart from being a priest, I'm also an akbong, a singer, and an omwanya drummer in the tradition for basically over 19 years, so longer than I've been initiated in this. So I've been in the tradition for a while, and people know me through this. So I, I'm not going to go deep into this tradition because obviously the reason why I haven't done any videos on Santeria is because there's a billion books, there's a billion websites, there's a billion videos which explain, you know, the religion, Santeria, Lukumi, whatever you want to call it. Uh, there's a billion things out there that you can go and research on Afro-Cuban Santeria, Regla de Ocha, Lukumi. Okay, so I'm basically going to touch on a very simple matter, which is the one that I see that many people are being affected by, mainly newcomers. How do you get into this? How do you find somebody uh, in the tradition? So this is a tradition that has grown all over the world due to uh, the Cuban migration. It came to the United States for a long time now, since correct me anybody if I'm wrong, but since it's been here since the 40s, the 50s. You know, Cubans have been traveling, and Santeros have been leaving the island for New York City, for the United States, for Puerto Rico, for Venezuela, um, and now you can go anywhere in the world and find a community, almost anywhere in the world, mainly where Latin Americans have gone to in Europe or here in the United States, where there's a Latin American city. especially of Caribbean American, Latin Caribbeans, like Puerto Ricans and Cubans, etc. Um, I'm gonna include Dominicans because I am Dominican and I am initiated. So you know, there's wherever there's a Caribbean, Latin Caribbean community in the United States or in Europe, you're gonna find most likely find Santeros, a community of Santeria, and all over Latin America now because they're since the Cubans have gone all over Latin America also, the migrations, and this has been for years now. It's not now. You're gonna find Santeria all over Cuban Santeria all over Latin America. Many African Americans have been are in this tradition also from the United States here. Black Americans, due to the same thing, the Cuban exposure to it. It wasn't through originally through the traditional uh, African traditional lineages that now people are calling Isese or whatever. It wasn't through that. The first African Americans to get into these traditions got initiated mainly into the Afro Cuban uh, traditions, which also includes Palo Mayombe, which is the more Congolese origin tradition, and obviously Espiritismo, which is the spiritism stuff from the island also. So, how do I find a Santero? It's easy to find a Santero now because everybody has social media. So there are 1,000,000,001 groups on Facebook. You can find Santeros through there. You can ask Santeros uh, in these groups to refer you to Santeros in your area. Okay, and if you are in a place that does not have a community or Santeros, maybe one of these Santeros can help you long distance. Maybe now, especially now this time, we have to help people long distance. So you can have a reading long distance, depending obviously if the Santero does that long distance or whatever be the case. You have to also know that this person is legit. That's why I say you have to find a legit Santero on social media, maybe, if not in person, through people that you know. And you have to get referred to somebody that's in your town. Again, if it's somebody that's that doesn't have somebody in their town, you live in Idaho or something. I don't know, one of these weird states that that don't have Santeria or any Caribbean traditions or anything like that, or Latin people in it. You have to do it online. You have to find somebody online. Again, investigate very well. See if the person is legit. Ask other priests online. Ask for credentials. There's also readings. Readings in this tradition are not with tarot cards. They're not with pendulum readings. They're not jar readings. They're none of these things. Readings within Afro Cuban Santeria, Regla de Ocha, Lukumi are only done with Dilogun. Erin Dilogun, Merin Dilogun, Dilogun, however you want to call it. Dilogun are the cowrie shells, okay? And the Santeros, the priest, the Babalocha, will use cowrie shells of the Orisha Elegua to read people, okay? If you find the person that is a Babalawo, then that person will read you with Ifa, which is a different divination system and a different priesthood within the whole tradition. So you can get a reading from a Santero, which is a Orisha priest, or an Ifa priest, which is called a babalao. The Santero is going to read you with the shells of El Egua, and the babalao is going to read you with Ifa, mainly with the Equele, which is a chain uh, divination system with little nuts and stuff. So I'm not going to go into it. Do the research. Go online. There's a billion websites that can explain all these things in detail, show you pictures, etc., etc. I'm just going to give you the basic mechanics. So if somebody read you with a cup of water and said you have Ochun or Obatala or one of those Orishas around you, it doesn't mean that you are a child of that Orisha. They're just seeing something that can be, but has to be confirmed through the real oracles in the Orisha tradition, whether it be the Logun, the cowrie shells, or with a Bawalao in Difa. Okay? So, none of these things will tell you you're a son or daughter of an Orisha. Okay? If you go read yourself with somebody that's using tarot cards, a cup of water, these are just spiritual consultations. When you get a reading from an Oloricha, a Bawalocha, mainly a man, women do readings with the shells. There's controversy on that. I'm not going to go into that, but mainly it's a male priest that does the readings with the shells, or an Oba Oriate, which is Oba Oriate is another level up from a regular priest that focuses on ceremonies. It's a master of ceremonies. And like I said, the Babalao, which does it with Ifa. Okay? So these are the ways to do that. So you have to find somebody. You have to find somebody, get a reading. These initial readings will be mainly readings to open the door to the tradition, where they can tell you you have to receive something. What is receiving something? When you receive something, a ceremony. It can be an object, something that they give you. Most people in this tradition, here in the United States, I'm not going to speak for Cuba because in Cuba it's a little bit more different, but here in the United States, the process tends to be slower because it is very expensive. In Cuba, it's also very expensive for them, but they tend to work it out. Here, since it's an expensive process, people go through stages and some people have beginning ceremony initiations, like beginners initiations, where they would obviously, like I said, the first step when you meet a Santero or a Bawalao is you get a reading. The reading will probably most likely tell you that you have came to this tradition and that you need to keep going into it because obviously you came for a reason. Most of the time, the first ceremony that people will have as an initiation is to receive collares or eleques, which are the name of these beads, like the beads that you see Santeros wear. This beginner ceremony, or this, let's say it's a beginner ceremony, is done by, obviously it might have been something predicted through the reading, and it's done by a Santero or two, a godparent. You have to get a godparent or a godmother or godfather. And these aleques, you see them, these collares, aleques, beads, whatever you want to call them, you see them being sold in botanicas or even online botanicas. You don't just buy them and wear them. No. These aleques are done through a ceremony, received through a ceremony. The ceremony, I'm not going to tell you what it is. But what you do receive are the five main um, beads or leques of the five main Orishas. And you have to wear white for a week. And that's all I'm going to say. Uh, but this is one of the introductory introduction ceremonies into this religion. And obviously, it's a ceremony. It does cost money. Everything in this religion uh, costs money, like everything in life, because ceremonies demand work and materials, and in certain cases, animal sacrifice, etc., etc. So, for some people, the second initiation or second ceremonial step for some people, again, might be warriors. There's two types of warriors. There's warriors that you receive from a Santero, a Babalocha or Iyalocha, be it your godparent, godmother, or godfather. And, excuse me here. So there's pardon me, I was something came up here on the screen. Um, so there's two types of warriors. There's guerreros. The warriors. What are the warriors? The warriors are the Orishas, Elegua, Ogun, Ochosi, and Osun. That's four. So they are four Orishas that are received in one ceremony. They are called the warriors. Elegua opens the roads. Ogun is the blacksmith, also a warrior. Orisha. Ochosi is the hunter. Osun is the, not Ochun, Osun. Osun is the guardian, uh, which is a rooster. And you will see, if you look it up again, you will. It's like a little staff with a cup and a rooster on top. So these orishas are received by a santero or a babalawo. Okay? In some cases, when you receive it with the babalawo, you can sometimes receive it alone, or you can receive it together with the mano de orula. Okay? Or owofakan, or ikofa for women. It's a ceremony and an orisha that babalaos give a hand of ifa, and this in this ceremony where you receive your mano de orula, owofakan or ikofa, is also where they divinate who is your guardian orisha. So along with the owofakan, or let's just say mano de orula, that the babalaos give, you will receive a set of warriors from Ifa. And again, they will tell you who your Orisha is, so then you can later on in the future or whatever, crown that Orisha. Now, Santeros, a Babalocha, Iyalocha, can give warriors. These warriors, again, are the same Orishas, but given by a Santero. Okay? So there's two ways of doing it. The other way of divining who is your main Orisha, I already explained through Ifa. And that is a big ceremony. Although some Babalaos will do something called a Bajada, where they bring down Orula and they'll divinate the guardian angel or Orisha, and that's it. But you won't receive anything else. But mainly it's when you receive Mano de Orula and Guerreros, warriors of Ifa. Again, the second way to divine who is your guardian angel is with a Santero, but not just any Santero. It has to be an Oba Oriate, like I said before, which is a higher ranking Santero, master of ceremony, and master Italero, reader of the cowrie shells. And When this happens, the godparent has to be there if the godparent is not uh, the person reading. But usually they will have a third party um, do this. I know Bauriate, if let's say I'm the godparent, I will hire an Obauriate to divine for my godchild who will be their guardian Orisha. And this one is done with the shells of the guardian Orisha of the godparent. In my case, let's say I have Obatala crown, I will use the shells of Obatala to divine for that godchild who will be their guardian Orisha, but I will have an Obauriate do it with my shells. So there's all, so people will always get a third party Obauriate priest to do this. So there's no litigations or whatever you know. So this is another way to find out. So again, this is another step. I've already mentioned eleques. That's one step. Guerrero. That's two steps. Uh, Mano de Orula. That's another step that can be a beginner. So it varies through people. Some people, their first step in Santeria is receiving Mano de Orula from a Babalao and their guerreros together, and knowing uh, who is their guardian Orisha. And after that, they'll save up money um, and do Santo, maybe. So for some people, they'll receive collares, the eleques, and then they might receive guerreros from a Santero. Do later on, do Santo, get initiated. And some people even receive Mano de Orula after they do Santo um, later on in life. There's other Orishas that you can receive before doing Santo. Doing Santo is when you are fully initiated, um, crowned, as they say now. Uh, but that's a new term. So when you're crowned, before you're crowned, you can receive various Orishas. Again, like I said, the warriors, Mano de Orula, but that's from Ifa. You can receive Ibejis, which are the divine twins. You can receive Olokun. Olokun is the Orisha of the depth of the sea. Uh, Again, all these things, look them up. Feel free to look them up. There's tons of information online. Um, but these are Orishas that you can receive before fully doing Santo or getting initiated. Okay? So these are steps. Obviously, there are other steps within the Afro Cuban tradition that people take during the whole beginning process. And one of the main steps during the beginning process is to take care of the ancestors. Uh, what does it consist of? Usually, your godparent will indicate or help you set up a bóveda espiritual, which is an ancestral altar or a spiritual altar, where you'll have a number of cups of water, and you may place pictures of your deceased relatives, and the godparent is responsible to help you develop spiritually, because uh, there's a saying in Santeria, iculo biocha, el santo el muerto para el santo. The ancestors come before the Orishas, or the ancestors became the Orishas. So you always have to start with the ancestors before you go to the divinities, because the divinities, in some cases, some were uh, living human beings, and they passed on to being ancestors, and later on they were, raised to be divinities, or like they say in the Catholic Church, canonized, when they canonize a saint or something. So you always have to start with the muerto, with the ancestors. Okay, One thing that also they might do to develop you is, or to give you something, is a palo de muerto, or pa cucu, which is a stick that represents like a walking stick type of thing, or a stick uh, that will represent or use to be to call the ancestors and make offerings and sacrifice to the ancestors. And this is something that some santeros will give the godchild before doing santo, to complement things with egun. Egun are again the ancestors. Egun is the Yoruba word, Lukumi word for the ancestors. Uh, so these are steps that are taken uh, for preparation. Um, some of these santeros are also paleros or paleras. Palo is another tradition within the whole Cuban Santeria world. Uh, Palo Mayombe, as it's popularly called, is the Congo uh, traditions. So many santeros will also be paleros, um, and that might be a step. Uh, Palo mainly focuses on dealing obviously with divinities from the Congo, but it's very um, ancestor centric. So it deals a lot with ancestor worship, and Palo was used to complement or uh, kind of fill in the gaps with the ancestral part that didn't come directly from the Yoruba people. So a lot of the santeros will be paleros, um, and maybe they will have the godchild um, do ceremonies within palo, depending if they need it or not. Okay. Also, espiritismo has become or became a part of the whole Santeria and Orisha practice. It's a different practice in itself, espiritismo or spiritism. Um, and again, this deals mainly with the ancestors, and and these are things that also uh, will be for the development of the godchild that the godparent will implement. So they, for sure, they're gonna implement espiritismo or spiritism, and if they are paleros, most likely they're gonna implement that for whoever needs it uh, before they do Ocha. So that would be another initiation into another tradition within the Afro Cuban spiritualities that you do before getting initiated into Orisha. Okay, so these are some of the steps that you're gonna encounter. Okay, so you have to be very you have to do your research on these things before you go. If you want to get into palo, you find the palero, and all these things I'm talking about. You can apply it to any tradition. Same thing with 21 divisions, voodoo. You have to find somebody within that tradition. Only a person within that tradition will tell you the steps, or whoever your spirit head spirit is in that tradition, etc., etc. Somebody that is using other methods not of that tradition, or that is not initiated in this tradition, or even that is initiated in the tradition but using other methods of reading, cannot tell you these things. So you have to go to a first of all, a priest of the tradition, be it voodoo, be it palo, be it santeria, espiritismo, whatever you want to get into. Okay, find a priest in that tradition and let them guide you. Make sure that the person is legit. You have to investigate the person, or ask around. If you're looking in social media, ask other priests. Is this person legit? Look at their profile. Look and see how involved they are in the tradition. Okay. Also, there's a lot of priests in this tradition, in these traditions, that don't know a lot, and that's fine, or that don't know anything at all, and that's fine also. But you have to know that this person is going to do the right thing, because a person, in this tradition, it's not a do-it-yourself tradition. Like me as a priest, I don't initiate people by myself. I don't do any ceremony. There's some things that are done by yourself, but when it comes to initiations or certain ceremonies, they're not done by one person. It has to be a team, and there has to be a master of ceremony there for certain rituals, especially like for initiations and things, big ceremonies like this. So hopefully, if that person doesn't know much or whatever the case is, they will look for somebody that can help them out to help you out. So this is basically a chain. It's a family thing. It's one hand washes the other, and both wash the face. So in this tradition, uh, you're not going to find somebody doing everything by themselves at all times. Okay, and you have to find somebody that's responsible to do the right things, to do the right ceremonies, to get the right people for these ceremonies, etc., etc. So you have to be, uh, an investigator and check the person that you're gonna um, seek out very well. If you're getting readings online right now, there's I have a lot of friends from Nigeria that are Bawalaos, that are Orishas, and whatever you want to call, and I have a lot of friends from here that get initiated over there, or go and do ceremonies there, etc., etc. But and everybody will tell you, there's a lot of people online from Nigeria that are hitting people up, and they're probably not real. They're fake. They're scammers, or they're just out to get money, and things like that. So you have to be very careful with that. Even with people here, too, from the United States or in Latin America, anywhere. There's charlatans everywhere. It doesn't matter where you go. There's always going to be charlatans. You just have to know what you're looking for. Know what you're looking for. Know what you're going to get. Before you get a reading, you have to ask, how are you reading me? You don't have to ask all the details, but you have to know what kind of reading you're going to get. Because obviously there's card readings, tarot card readings. There's a billion kinds of readings. There's even cigar readings. There's people that don't use nothing, and they just, tell you blah, 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 whatever, But these are not methods used in Orisha or Ifa, or for the fact of the matter, in certain other traditions like Palo, or 21 divisions of Voodoo. In Voodoo, yes, they use the cards. It's in Haitian Voodoo and in Dominican Voodoo, they use the cards for certain things, and for a lot of things, depending on the lineage, etc., etc. But I'm going to focus mainly on the Orisha tradition. In the Orisha tradition, Afro Cuban Orisha, and even traditional in Africa, they use other things. Obviously, like cowrie shells with Orisha. Uh, there's other ways to divine. Um, but mainly for readings in the Afro Cuban tradition, it's with the shells of Elegua and Ifa. Okay, so only through these means can they tell you if maybe an Orisha is with you, or you need to take this path and walk it. But even then, it doesn't mean that Orisha is your head till they do the readings that I specified before with the Oriate or the Bawalao. Okay, and again, those are very special readings. They're not just your general reading. So check people out. Go online. Go into these groups. Find people in your area. Again, if you find somebody from somebody else that's willing to work long distance, and then eventually you can connect through travel. That's also a thing. Um, and in the meantime, you work long distance. Readings can be done long distance. Uh, spiritual work at balls, etc., can be done long distance. So there's a lot of things, but that can be done long distance. Certain ceremonies are obviously not, and initiations you have to be, there, etc. For many things you have to be in person, but for readings and things like minor things, they can be done long distance, and minor work. So if you're in a place where there's no santeros, seek somebody out online, hit somebody up, talk with them, see what they're about, so check out their credentials, ask around, but don't just go with anything. Again, this is not a do-it-yourself tradition. So for the people that are, I did a video on altars. Uh, for the people that are fanatics with altars and just throwing up altars, like that, do it yourself, whatever. This is not one of those traditions. You don't just, set up a table and put a yellow cloth and oranges and yellow candles, and all of a sudden, yeah, I'm an Oshun priest. I'm a daughter or son of Ochun. I have Ochun in my house. No, this is not how it works. I'm sorry. Okay, in this tradition, the Orishas are things that you receive in ceremony. I don't know if you can see in the video here, but here, for example, right there, I'm pointing. That's Yamaya here, and that's Oya. So these are vessels, and inside these vessels there are sacred objects, and these sacred objects are received when you get initiated through the initiation ceremony when you do santo. It's not like in other things. Maybe in other traditions, you set up a table and put a red candle, red cloth, and some red apples, and I have chango now. Yeah, I'm a priest of chango. No, this is not how it works. I'm sorry. Okay, in these traditions, voodoo, palo, santeria, uh, orisha, ifa, all these traditions, you have to go to the priests. Okay, you have to go to the people. You have to get initiated or some ceremony to have certain connections. Okay, in these cultures, it might vary. You might have a connection without any initiation, but you would still have to be a priest and get initiated to do certain things and to initiate others. Okay, so these are initiatory things, traditions. Okay, again, there's a lot of resources out there. There's a billion YouTube channels talking about Ifa and Orisha. Uh, please make a distinction of which lineage you want to go through, whether it be the Afro Cuban Regla de Ocha, Lukumi, or if there's a lot of people out there now, even here in the States, that are initiated traditional. The traditional Ifa and Orisha practitioners um, tend to be a little bit isolated, and their groups tend to be a little bit smaller, because, again, most of the things that are going on within the traditional Orisha and Ifa traditions are in Nigeria or West Africa. So here it tends to be a little bit uh, stagnant, where there's not a lot of things going on, depending on who you go see or the house that you're involved in. The Afro Cuban Orisha uh, houses or tradition tends to be a little bit more vibrant. There's always a ceremony going on. There's always drummings going on. Uh, there's always an initiation going on. There's a lot of movement because it's a tradition that's been here in the States longer, and there's way more people involved in it. So you have to really also make a distinction whether you want to go down the traditional West African Ifa Orisha or the Afro Cuban Lukumi traditions. Okay, so you have to do your research, investigate, um, and just be in investigate what you're gonna get into. That's basically what it is. I hope that this video was a little bit helpful for you guys. Uh, like, subscribe, watch all my videos, follow me, follow my music on all the digital platforms, including here on YouTube. Um, leave some comments on maybe other videos that you guys want to see, topics that you want to hear me talk about, and blessings to everybody. Ache.